doing something with tires real quick before I jumped on tonight. Oh, after a week off, we're back. We are back. I'm back. You guys didn't go anywhere. You're forever in the interwebs. Um, do I need to move that or not? I guess that'd be all right. Maybe it's not. Hammer down apparel. There. Is that better? Okay. Usually I have it up a little bit more. What is going on, man? I was just doing some these dirty rims because I didn't wash them correctly after the races Saturday. I was disheartened, to say the least, with what all transpired. Hey, man. Awesome. What's going on, man? This is Nick Bishop. If you haven't checked out Degenerate Garage, please do. Awesome channel, great content. I probably don't comment as much as I should. I do watch both him and Tatum's stuff. I'm like anybody else. I know that, like, subscribe, comment, and then I don't comment on those videos even though I watch them. That's my bad. It's fine. What is going on? What do I increase cross or decrease cross for flatter track? Been running high bank tracks and cart handles great on it. I might not touch it. Just I'd see what it does. So I know that there are adjustments that you can make for high banks, and I know that those work. But at least here in New York, for instance, last year, we won't take this year to account because I've whatever reason I've been off all season long. I can't get the clone to go. Last year I was doing okay, and I changed literally nothing besides tires between a bank track and a flat track, between AMS and then it was Adrenaline Mountain Cartway that I went to, extremely flat. Matter of fact, I did the same thing at Champion, which is a flat paperclip-ish type of thing, and it was all right. It really depends on, planning that right front. I talk about getting off the right rear, on the right rear, anything like that when I'm talking about cross, but also the more cross you have, the more you're planning your right front, and that does help steer the cart. So take that into consideration. If it's not turning, I might consider planning the right front, which would be adding cross. But it's hard to say with, especially up north here, we have a tendency not to run super high cross. I mean, I went into last Saturday with higher cross than I had been running on that bank track, and I took some cross out of it. So I was probably low 60s if I had to guess. I never got a chance to scale, so but it's bite dependent. I don't know. I run the same setup or close to the same setup on banked or flat tracks, at least up here. It's hard for me to say because I don't know, what type of bite or surface you're on. So, I don't know. No race, too much rain down. Yeah. It's currently raining now, so I was like, oh man, hopefully the signal for my cellular tower works fine doing the live stream because of the rain. Last night, my internet cut out like late at night. I was watching my TV. I stream TV, and it just did the spiral thing, and I was like, what the heck? And haven't really had a ton of problems with my internet up here. And then it was in and out, and it's like, all right, I got to go to bed anyway. No big deal. But then it happened at work today. Like our business lost internet for a little bit. Ugh. Yeah, I don't disagree. That's the base premise I usually go with, and why so many newer carts that are designed down south are high bite carts, high bite tracks, and you increase cross to get off your right rear or to plant your right front, which helps it turn. So there's that. Us guys up here up north, we have very, very slick tracks. Even if it's sticky, it's still like, it doesn't have the bite that, Southerners do. So we have a tendency to run less cross up here. Gonna get some parts. Yeah, I got. Oh, the parts for the Open. Yeah, yeah, I know all too. The life is saving me from boredom and nice. Yeah. So current situation. Hopefully, I don't lose you guys. This is the current situation I got going on here. Talk about get some parts. Yeah. Yeah. That's what my engine currently looks like. I did get the wrist pin bearing today. Got it from Amazon. So being it's a 252 stroke. That is what came apart in the engine and caused all the strife. The carburetor issue is another thing. The carburetor issue didn't cause that. The upper wrist pin bearing came apart on it. But I was on motorsport.com and it was going to be $7 and it was in California and I was just like, man, I just happened to kind of Google or all of a sudden it popped up on Amazon and it's the same part number, same everything I was going to get, except for because I have Amazon Prime, free shipping, and it was here in 2 days, not coming from California. So that was awesome. So I got my wrist pin bearing today, so I can kind of put this thing back together. I just got to wait for Buller to answer if he's going to be able to save my carbs or not, or get them back to me, that is. I'm sure he can save them. Safety from boredom, yeah. Weekends for me. First time running the yellow Vega. I'm looking forward to it. Oh, it did damage. The rest of the bottom end, I mean, there's the needle bearings were bouncing around in there a little bit. It looks like they just kind of scuffed the connecting rod a little bit. As I rotate the bottom end, I know, you replace the bottom red end bearing, and I don't disagree. First off, I don't have the money right now to do so. Do I think that, it could cause me problems? Yes. But nationals are in 3 weeks. I don't have time to send out the engine. I don't have time to have the bottom end pulled apart and new bearings in it, nor do I have the money. So if Buller can fix my carbs, they're sticky, real hard pedal, and then everything. And they're worn out. They've been around. They've been carbs for a while. There's an update kit for the butterflies for them, so the carbs should be there tomorrow. Hopefully, I can get them back in time. I will have the engine, the jug, and everything back on it this weekend. I'm gonna take off the bottom end. I'm gonna flush it out really well with purge gas. Just rotate, make sure there's nothing in there. Take a peek down in. There's not a ton of room in a 2-stroke bottom end for anything to be floating around in there. I didn't see a ton of debris. I think that the engine ate most of it and spit it out the exhaust. So there was a couple bearings that just kind of fell when I took everything apart. So there's that. Cross fingers. One thing, I'm going from a 272 stroke with a power valve, electronic power valve, which is real nice because it arcs that power curve to a baseline 250. So I won a lot of races on the engine I'm currently going to be putting it back together. But that was before, a lot of these 4 strokes, the 450s got pretty badass and started making a lot of power. So I'm going to be down on power, but from what I hear, Delaware Speedway isn't a huge power track. I think it's going to be at least a little hard to get a hold of. Maybe not. I could be wrong, but it might not be a horrible thing. The biggest thing when you're going from a power valve to a non-power valve is these things become sedan-like. I know that a lot of you guys don't understand that, but there's a huge. So when you go into the corner and lift, it slams the butterfly shut, and the engine takes a huge gulp of fuel and oil mixture. And on a 2-stroke, you get back into it, it has to process all that fuel to get it back out. So there's what I call the sedan lag. So you go in, you lift, and you try to get back wide open as soon as you can, because it's going to take a second to kind of and then get to getting. But once it processes that initial wad of fuel, it really gets up on the pipe. It's a timing thing. With the power valve, it increases bottom end, so it processes, it gets through that fuel a lot quicker. It doesn't have that huge, because basically you're going from slam shut to wide open, and it just takes a second for it to go. Whereas that power valve, when it opens slowly, that smaller venturi coming out the exhaust helps speed up that process. Yeah, that's so I'm gonna have the Bama 250 is much like a giant 125 or 131 sedan. That you guys probably don't understand what I'm talking about, but it's like it brings back memories. It's just a lot more power. It's like a sedan on steroids. 3 race weekend for me. Oh, yellow Vegas are. It's been a minute. Don't get me wrong. I love burrs. I love all tires. Whatever hooks up, whatever everybody's on, whatever works for whatever track. I love them all. Big fan of burrs. Big fan of Vegas. But it was nice that I haven't run Vegas in a long time, and I broke out the 3-year-old Vegas and was at least in the beginning of that race Saturday. I was competitive until things started going sideways for me. It's a red clay track, but it's always wet, slick. Yeah, scared of water. Oh, okay. Yeah, slick. That could get you either way if it does remain slick. I would try just leave it alone, see what it does. As far as crosswise, I don't want it. You can put cross to it if you want, but if your tires match the surface though, and you're able to get the bite that you need, then the higher cross may serve you well. What do you run through your fueling system after a race? Talking methanol, we can't run top end lube. One of our guys got hit. Illegal fuel, we run WD for, and I believe that was some still. Oh wow. My purge is Marlboro Mystery Oil, mostly. Sometimes I put castor in it. Sometimes I don't. I have if I have any synthetic oil kicking around for gas, like Redline, or I think I had some. What was it I put in last time? Maybe I just put castor in it last time. I made a mixture of gas, non-ethanol gas, with like 16 ounce per gallon, like 16 ounces of Marlboro Mystery Oil, and then I think I tossed in like 4 ounces of castor just to make sure there was enough, because I was running a castor base, running the Blenzol. The castor didn't interfere with it, where you might, if you're running a 2-stroke, this pertains to this, it might pertain to 4-strokes as well, but castor doesn't like to mix with synthetic. Great, it's as a purge, it's probably not going to hurt much anything. It's just going to leave a coating there. I've heard people say they didn't like castor as a purge down because it leaves a film on everything, but I think it's kind of its intended purpose. But Marlboro Mystery Oil, I would assume that Marlboro Mystery Oil and some non-ethanol gas, just in general, would make for a good purge. Get that methanol out of there, and keep it from doing bad stuff. I've put stable in there. But yeah, I think the best purge I ever made, or I thought I made, was a Redline synthetic. With gas, non-ethanol gas, and then Marlboro Mystery Oil in there as well, and then maybe I put a bit of stable in it, but that was more so to keep it over the winter. But anyway, yeah, my old buddies years ago, when they purged down their industrials that were running methanol, they like to just run WD. They'd fire them up and then just put the WD to the carb, and it'll burn, it'll fire, and it would smelled something awesome. Nice. Yeah, I would absolutely love to have a fresh motor for the Nationals, but I had a bunch of offers. I don't want to dismiss anybody that offered me a cart or an engine or anything like that. It's just God, I don't like asking for things. I don't like borrowing things. I like to do for myself as best I can. It makes it tough. Racing's expensive, and I'm preaching the choir, I'm sure. People struggle to get to races all the time, but this couldn't have happened at a worse time. The thing that's killing me is I specifically ran less races this year on the open to preserve the engine. That engine had one race on it. Their piston, the piston had one race on it last year. I could have swore I changed the upper wrist spring bearing, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't have one. I can't quite remember. And then this was only the third race this year on that piston, so 4 races isn't a lot. And I tried a different the Redline premix for the methanol. That had nothing to do with the failure. That was purely part. Everything in the engine looked fine. There, it didn't. I know Chris C said that from listening to it, it was lean, and it might have been a little. My exhaust temp never got hot though. I mean, not even remotely hot. But I did after watching the external video. I wasn't smoking nearly as much as I should have been, and I mean my carb settings were set to where I thought they should be. I rechecked them before I sent the carbs out, and it was crisp. I mean, it was ready to rip, but it was they were not lean for up here. I mean, it wasn't it was a slightly cooler night. It shouldn't. It might have. Maybe that's why. Maybe because it got a little cooler, it wanted to pull more fuel. 2 strokes are finicky. That's why I did that whole video on why I suggest 4 strokes over 2 strokes. It's not that I don't love 2 strokes. It's that, boy, you better be up on top of them, or else. I just think that was just a pure parts failure. I think that everything in the engine didn't look hot when I took it apart. It just looked like that bearing cage came apart, and it really made a mess of things. Yeah, it doesn't mean that if I'm offered, that I won't take. I won't say an advantage. I won't take somebody's, if they're, like, hey man, here's this. It's not that. I do feel weird about that a little bit, but also, if you put good out into the world, sometimes good comes back to you. At least you hope so, and you don't do it. I don't try and do good and do things for what's in return. But I can't say thank you to those people that offered. I mean, I had somebody offer, entire racing cart to take out there, and it's just like, man, I would love to. As a GM 500. I mean, I'm a 2-stroke guy, but I'd race one of those. I raced the Jawa, briefly there. It was a lot of fun. I would be willing to do it. It's just, boy, I got a funny feeling about if something went wrong with it. Oh man, I know it's racing stuff, but having to rebuild my stuff and then having to rebuild that stuff, and it's just my old man says that I can break an anvil with a feather, and he's not wrong. He's so having something that expensive go sideways on me. Oh man, yeah, yeah. It's, 2 strokes, yeah, 2 strokes. That was when I was purging. It killed me. So when I was purging down the engine, it was still running. I finished 3rd with it. If you saw the pictures on Facebook, it was still running. When I pulled off track, it was still running. I mean, beat the snot. I thought something was wrong because I don't think it was handling. Probably the last, it felt like I had a right rear going down. I believe that was the drivetrain. So what happened there was I broke the circlip, rotating clip that holds the gear to the basket. That came apart. So that was that sensation. It felt like my right rear was going down. And I'm like, I squiggled around a little bit. I'm like, it feels like it, but I don't think it's happening. But I did lose like the last 10 laps. I was like, man, I'm falling behind. Like I was competitive, and I didn't think the cart was handling that bad. It wasn't doing anything abnormal, but I just got slow, and it's probably because that was starting to come apart and waller around in there and do bad stuff, and I was losing some go. What are your thoughts on? Oh, ARC makes fantastic parts. Jody Powell from ARC, fantastic guy. Super knowledgeable. Very high quality parts from what I know of. I will say that I don't think I've run anything but maybe I think I've had a rear, a Super Duty rear hub, gear hub on my axle from ARC. It's the only thing I've really run because I don't run industrial parts or anything like that. I don't have industrial engines, engines or anything like that. But Jody is beyond knowledgeable. He's very technical. Very if you ever go to ARC on Facebook on YouTube here, he has some tutorial videos and very precise, very to the point. Extremely knowledgeable about what they are. I think the ARC parts. I saw something like there's some Chinese knockoff of some parts. Couldn't even tell you what they were, but that there's just something about him, taking the time to make quality parts that even though you could get it, a Chinese company cheaper, it's probably I would be suspect of the quality. We'll say that. But yeah, Jody's super guy. I think I've met him a couple times. Yeah, good dude. Where's my watch going off? Knock that off. But yeah, I've been prepping Maxxis all week since then. So the idea is, at least from my end, hoping that everything, the engine's going to be together, hopefully here this weekend. I'll have time to get the jug back on and everything, and then I'll wait for an answer from Buller whether or not my carbs are going to be getting back to me or not. I would really like to hear it run before I make the 12.5-hour trek there. And if we get there and something happens, something happens. It is what it is. But I want to hear it run before I go. I don't want it to be a team this week. So far this week I've just been running internal. No secret in my game here. I have 3 sets of Maxxis. I have 1 brand new set. Are they ended last year? Hold on. How do you read that? I always forget how you read these date codes. 0402, so 2402. Second week in 04. I think that's how you read that. So I have 1 set of those that they are. I scuffed them at the last race on the Open. And they came back, and I know you're probably supposed to internal them before you do that, but I did it the opposite because I didn't have time. I was on vacation. So those got rolled with 4 and 2 ounces. I know that a lot of people do cc's. I still do ounces. I'm in America, so I do ounces. And I did 4 and 2, so that's the split. And then I got that's the 63 internal. I have a blend of GK1 and SQS that I run internally, and I call it the 63 internal. And then I have these older sets. These are from I raced them in 2023. They're 2022 tires. They have barely any laps on them. 1 set I had to flip the rights. They were from Hunterstown, but I got really aggressive with at least this set. I think I did 5 ounces and 2.5 ounces internal, and then I'm gonna surface them a little bit, and then I'll start wiping them just a little bit, depending on what I do. I have kryptonite in one of them. That second set was so they're a lot older, and I got really aggressive with them. That's kryptonite in that set, and that's going to be my harder set that's sitting over there. Those are the flips, and they are ruby internal. And then I will kind of prep them similarly, not the kryptonite ones, but the newest ones will probably get that 63 prep on them on the external, and then just a wipe or 2 per week to keep them bit up, and then a little more aggressive on the. I got some gold grip coming, and that's for this other set, that if everybody's on Maxxis but you're having to really wipe heavy in Iowa, I got that gold grip coming. So yeah, no real secrets here. I don't care if people know what I wipe on my tires. I'm not in the points. I mean, if I was a front runner and you know my tires were the secret sauce to why I was dominant, things might be a little different. But I've yet to find a ton of speed except for this last race. Like in the UAS, like I'm pedestrian is all get out at clone racing. But when it comes to UAS, at least I have a little speed because of my just the years I've done it. You know, I know what I'm looking for in the cart, and I know where to change up the line and do everything. It's just, but yeah. Okay, what carbs do you run on Elky? Oh, run and why? I have the Buller 420s, so they are the Tillotson knockoffs. It's Buller built makes a billet set. They make multiple billet sets, but these are 420s. So you have 360s, 380s, combination 360, 380, and then you also have the 420s, which come pretty standard on the Bama. So they're just big and open. And then there's a gross jet in them instead of needle that you have to keep clean. I like the gross jet a lot, but you have to keep them clean. And the gross jet, I don't know, it has an advantage over the needles, but when you run an external, what I call an accelerator pump, so there's a pump before it gets to the carbs, so fuel is constantly filling the tubes to fill the carbs. We had a problem when we tried to run needle carbs on it, that the pump was pushing past the needles, like the pop off wasn't high enough. It was just blowing through the needles and keeping the engine too fat, and it was just gurgling all around the track. So the gross jets, in my opinion, at least the way it's designed, keep that from happening, because it takes a little bit more to get past the gross jet than it does the needle. But that's a whole lot of stuff that I don't know about. I'm just hypothesizing on. But yeah. All right. Tires are good. Hold on. I gotta brighten you guys up. I can't read. I'm getting old. My eyes are old. Okay. Goat pee really bad for your tires. We run grooves and need a lot of bite. Goat pee is irreplaceable for what it does. It will absolutely add bite. It will absolutely soften. And in the long run, it will absolutely eat the tire. It will, what makes it fast, makes it break down the tire. And eventually, when the people are messaging me, when the duro starts to climb, you're going to have a real hard time keeping that durometer down, because that is goat pee doing what it does. It is what adds the bite is the way it breaks down the rubber. It's super good. It works really well, but there's a term, once a goat tire, always a goat tire. There's a reason for that, because once you get into, I'm not talking about the occasional wipe here and there. You'll probably be fine there, but once you really start heavily, if you're on a very wet type of track or whatever it is that you're looking to get as much bite as possible, if you start really wiping goat that heavy, chances are it's going to penetrate into the tread, and eventually it's going to break down the rubber so much that the durometer, it's going to dry the tire out. The durometer is going to start to raise, and there's really no getting it back. I had a story. Somebody reached out one time. Hey, they got given a whole bunch of tires, and they're like, man, I can't get the durometer to drop on it. And it turns out that they were goat tires, and that is that. If it's worth the win, then do it. If you can afford to use goat, you can do it. But if you're on a budget, you only have a few sets of tires that you're not wanting to kill, just be wary of it. I'm not telling you not to run it, because other people are. Other people are willing to make that sacrifice. But yes, it's even on treads. It's going to soften the treads, absolutely. Big money into getting this with. Ooh, nice. Heck yeah. There's 2,000 to win Reaper race, October 4th. It's going to be at Dreamfield. I haven't been to Dreamfield yet. It's like an hour and a half for me. Brandon Clapperton is the promoter, owner, whatever guy, buddy of mine. And my intent is, this is how I go. I'm going to go, the engine works. I'm going to go to Nationals, the 12th through the 14th of September. I get back. I'm going to Kentucky I'm going to Louder Life Festival with my wife and daughter down there, and I'm gonna check that out. And then I get like 2 weeks to prep and get the clone right and ready for 2000 to win at Dreamfield. And hopefully I got some of that. I think I got some of that brand new Reaper prep coming in from Track Tack. So get back on the Reaper game and try and get those handled. But yeah, that's a great payout. I see that also. Is it 2,500 to win the Grand Nationals, the UAS Grand Nationals? Then I see the 27th. 27th is the the Horsepower Nationals. The Junior Johnson Horsepower Nationals. Is it Low Country? The Low Country. I think that's $3,000 to win there. Open tire for the UAS guys. I think that's $3,000 to win. And then maybe, and there's another 2,500, $3,000 to win. That's going to be really cool. And then up here, you know, if you're in New York, if you're in Western or Central New York or any part of New York, or I guess anywhere, if you want to come out to Dreamfield, October 4th is going to be the 2000 to win Reaper race. Be awesome for me to make the main on it. I don't know how many they're taking. I don't know however many are going to show up, but 2K should bring in some entries. And even though it's arguable that, you know, Reaper is not a fantastic tire for New York, because typically, you know, we run, you know, Burris 11s or Burris 33s or, you know, Vaga Yellows are usually the tire of choice when everybody's on the same tire. I think, you know, my Reapers are still fairly bit up. When I went down to Selwyn's Grove, they were good. So we'll see. Thoughts on septum piercings on women? I don't care. There's an argument to be made that some of them go a little overboard. I have, if you can't see, I have a bunch of tattoos. I have earrings. I've had eyebrow rings, nose rings, lip rings in my younger years. So my wife doesn't have one. She thought about it. I don't know. Say, I did milk cows, so it's kind of like a, you know, a bull ring. Bull ring. I'm indifferent on it. I'm pretty much, as long as you're not hurting anybody, you know. I don't know, but there's something, you know, some people. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. All right. Okay. I guess your job. You guess my job. I mean, you can guess my job. It's not a secret what I do. Have you ever bought from Cartworks? I don't know Cartworks. I know Motorworks. They're my engine builder. Used a suggestion this week and pre-wiped with BTG, then pre-race with orange around my face. Nice, awesome, good deal. I'm glad that worked for you. Yeah, orange is great. It's, you know, I love to recommend orange for people who are new to prep. Pardon me, sorry. It doesn't drop durometer. It fires tire off. It builds you know, a good bit of bite. The only thing is, I've heard this a couple times now, people, and I'm not saying you can't do it, but because it doesn't drop durometer, they've been loading up with orange. Maybe I've never tried it. Maybe I should try it. Maybe I should load up during the week with orange and see where it goes. It's just, it's not its intended purpose. So, you know, I like to run, you know, a base layer of something else and then use the orange to fire it off. But, you know, to each their own. But yeah, the BTGP and then firing off with orange, both love water. They're really good on wet tracks, especially. Hey, what's going on, Ron? The lowest cross I can get is 6468 with a lower left side. It's 25 chassis. Oh, they have definitely changed. Oh yeah, that definitely. You can, two things. If you, I won't say I'm confused. I don't typically recommend using front stagger as an adjustment tool. That being said, my wife hates when I say that being said. Anyway, that being said, You can. If you run less front stagger, you are going to decrease cross. Also, if you run more rear stagger, you're going to decrease cross. If you're really intent on getting less cross in a cart, those are definitely two things you can do. Reduce front stagger and increase rear stagger will lower cross. Also, rear stagger will help the cart turn. Now, there's an argument to be made. How far do you go? Because too much rear stagger will definitely make you free in. At least that's what I found. I've gone more than, an inch and a half, and everything's gotten loosey-goosey on me. Hey, what's the topic about? What topic do you want to talk about? We are talking in karts. We're talking oval dirt kart racing here on this here channel. We run slicks on dirt. That's what we are talking about. That is the topic of the day. Now, I don't have a general topic. I could do that sometime. Just a in general topic that we could talk about. But I'm better just answering questions or whatever, I guess. I do. I'm not saying for certain, but I considered bringing not just one person, but maybe, I know a bunch of people in we'll call it the industry of kart racing. I considered maybe not changing up the format, but maybe doing a little more interactive stuff, like how Wesley and I started this to begin with. Somebody to banter back and forth. We could do a discussion, obviously, continue to answer the questions and everything. But maybe if I could, get some people I know on here. Just an idea. I've been so friggin' busy, man. Finding time to do anything, extracurricular between. I haven't even done, I have the vlog to do for this Sunday from last week, and I started it last night. It's going to take a bit more editing than I've currently put into that, but I do have Saturday morning before I got stuff to do. It's just, I don't know who flipped the switch on my life and told me I got to do a whole bunch of stuff, but it's serious. I got to get my drink. Hold on a second. Oh, I just looked at that. I get to take the battery system and everything off my cart. That'll be fun. Oh no! It's jeez. Micro sprints. I drove a micro sprint one time, and it just about burned the brake off that thing. Big quarter mile. No problem with the throttle, but I got to the corner. I'm not used to the roll. I've raced karts. That's all I've ever done. And they don't have, you have yaw. But yeah, in a cart, but that where the shocks take over and it kind of pitches and stuff, I was not prepared. And the buddies, Kaiser boys, or who let me run it, and they found out that chassis had like a dual piston caliper or something like that, and it was super sensitive. So apparently I was riding it like almost the entire time, and I just about burned the brake thing up. But it got them to change up brake calipers because they're like, oh, we didn't even realize that was on there. It was overkill. And yeah, I've seen those micro sprints go for. I mean, obviously micro sprints are much like the sprints when it is catastrophic when you guys get going. Oh goodness, that's some people think we're nuts in karts, and we're not, especially open karts. They're like, oh, somebody tried to call me. If that's that stupid, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the was it Nielsen? Like a long time ago, I filled out a questionnaire or something from Nielsen, and they send you $1, and then if you fill it out, they send you $5. And I don't know why they're bugging me so bad, but they keep on blowing up my phone, and I'm gonna have to block them. It's not that I like questionnaires. I think that's kind of fun to do, but they have been irking me. I don't swear on here, but yeah. I'm trying to shrink my left front tire following your recent method, and in the middle of the tire is the size I want, but the outsides are still too big Tire is used, but still has a lot of life left in it. I don't measure the outside that often. I mean, you could. I'm wary of telling people to superheat everything, too awful bad, because I did see a case of things going sideways on a tire. Like I don't know if you torch them too much. That just think of heat. Heat is heat, but flame is flame. Flame is going to cook some of the oils out of the tire, so you want to smoke, but you don't want to go crazy, and smoke it for too long. So typically, I only measure the center of the tire. There's on the shoulders here, this distance is pretty set. See as this bubbles up here, measuring center is typically where everybody goes. I'm not saying you can't measure the sides, but it's with the sidewall there. There's not going to be a ton that you can do with it. If you're, if you are concerned about it, then next time you're trying to shrink it, I would concentrate on getting more over to the edge, and do the best you can to do it. But I mean, I usually just measure center. Doesn't mean it's wrong, doesn't mean it's right, but just letting you know. Should I erase modifieds or legends because it's dangerous in micros? I think there's an argument to be made for that. I mean, what was it that Friesen just went over in it? Is that a modified? Everything racing is dangerous. Legends seem like you're pretty enclosed in there. In my opinion, legends are probably the safest of the bunch, but also arguably the slowest sometimes. But I don't know a crap ton about other forms of dirt racing. I mean, I watch it, but I haven't invested any time into it. So the premises, the handling premises are all similar, but heat my tires in the oven, grow and shrink them. Just need to do it while the wife is not. Absolutely. The only thing I've really cooked in the oven racing wise is I was replacing some bottom end bearings in a sedan, 125 two-stroke, and I heated up. Yeah, I froze the crank bearings in the freezer. I put those in the freezer, and then I put the cases in the oven and got them nice and toasty. And then when the cold versus it, you go boop, and they just pop in, so there's no pressing or anything like that, so you don't damage any aluminum. And then once the two come back to room temperature, they get they get bound up there in a good way. Sounds good. Yeah, you're very welcome. They're raced with 20-year-olds, and okay, yep, yeah. It's so the age thing. I know that that is a tough thing. There are kids that are, if you're 14, you're a kid. I'm 48, so I can say that. I got my children are older than you, but I do not deny the skill of somebody maybe your age. I do not at all. But there is, like in Unlimited All-Stars, and there's an argument to be made for everything, and it's we only have 18-year-old and up, and it's not because of skill set. It's not because you can't handle the power, you can't this and that. But say I'm 48 and I'm say that the 18-year-old rule isn't there. You're not an adult, and I wreck you. I hurt you. We get in a bad confrontation on track, and then I got to not only deal with you being upset, but also your parents. So that's where some of it, it's not a skill thing. It's and I'm not saying that every 14-year-old or younger person is badly behaved or anything like that, but you run into the adult versus kid thing, and it creates such a weird dynamic that you have to work through. I'd race against anybody. I don't, but I'm mature enough to know that you know, how to handle a situation. We can't say that for everybody. We can't say that for kids. We can't say that for a lot of adults. That, you know, I've raced against younger people, no problem. But it's gone the other way for some other people. So yeah. Anyway, again. All right. Well, good to see you, man. Emma's are cooking. Oh, absolutely. So the cooking blowtorch. I need a haircut. You know, look, you can see my bald spot, and the gray. Look at that. Look at that. I am a salt and pepper master. It's matching my beard. My uncle is completely white. Oh, eventually I got a sneaking suspicion, but yeah, it's. I told my wife it's hippie. It's blowing in the wind. The thing about it is I'm used to this look, you know, with a little bit of hair, and every time I get rid of this thing, it looks weird to me. Like I don't see myself as a bald guy, but I spent most of the summer like that. So is what it is. Amazon cooking blow tape. Yeah, I agree. Initially, I bought it. We RV. We do campfires and stuff like that. It didn't not have a purpose. I also, you know, I considered I like to reverse sear some meats. I have a Rectech pellet smoker, and well, it's a kettle. It's called the Bullseye. Anyway, I can smoke meats on it, do a reverse sear, and I thought, man, this would be great if I do like a tri-tip, or I do a nice thick cut of meat, bring the internal up, and just braise the outside with the thing. And I half bought it as a joke to do a video because it's 25 bucks. I think we had some Amazon points, or not points, but money to spend on there. And I thought, I'll get this. It'll be, you know, I can use it for other things. And then as I'm doing tires, I'm like, dude, this is you know, taking that small. It's like going, if you have an acetylene torch, or you know, we have big torches at work. I work on cars, and we run propane and oxygen. And if you have a rosebud, if you're on a frame machine and you're pulling a, you know, a truck frame or something, a rosebud is better. Well, that's the cooking torch is a rosebud. It expands that, so it's taking that very needle point type of heat source, which hot spots on tires is a problem. You know, overheating, going back and forth. Every time you stop and come back, that's a hot spot. You know, you have to be very ginger with it. That's why, you know, taking it at an angle, if you have a standard torch doing this, is better than straight on doing this, because every time you stop, much like a paint gun, if you're shooting paint and you stop, that point in which you stop and come back, that doubled up. And then the heat is the same thing. It's the possibility is there to create a heat hot spot on the tire. With the big rosebud torch, the cooking torch, it flames that, it brings this big flame out, and then it heats more evenly. So while the possibility of getting, you know, spending too much time on a part of the tire is always there, it's not going to be as dialed in as that. So you know, you just got to be careful what's all around it. Like if you're, for instance, if you're heating a tire on the cart, if you need to, you know, you're in a pinch to get some stagger into the thing. I did that at a track. Just be careful of like your air filter, because on especially a clone cart, your air filter is right there, and you don't want to nuke that thing. You don't want to melt that thing down, or your outerwear or anything like that. Just buyer beware. But I friggin' love it, man. Works really good. Track tag shelf life. I don't know. I'm just going to be honest. I don't know that it has a shelf life. I wouldn't suspect if it's in one of the tin. No, maybe not. There's an argument to be made for the plastic versus the tin, but if the tin hasn't rusted through or anything like that, I don't see why it would. But well, the external, if it's not getting air to it, I would assume that it's still good. I mean, it's a chemical. It's not like if it hasn't evaporated. Yeah, the honest answer is I don't know. But if we think through this, I would assume unless it's evaporated, I would say it's still good. And if it has evaporated in any, if some of the solvents have evaporated, if there's any, you know, like if it's a combination prep that has oils in it and solvents in it, and the solvents have dissipated a little, then the oils are just going to be a little stronger in it. Maybe make the prep a little stronger. It's probably, if you reduce the solvent, you reduce the capability of the oils to penetrate in the tire. But if you increase the oils, the possibility of gaining more grip is there, if that makes sense. It's just not going to go as far in the tire. I got to do a whole video on that. Solvent versus oil, the combination of both. Not that I'm any kind of prep guru or anything like that, but like I said, I like to think about things and like to consider what things do and why they do it. I'm a curious fellow. So, but yeah. But sapphire and orange, I would assume they would still be good. Sapphire was, I don't think I've ever owned sapphire. That would be a good one to get. It's just, I think the reason I've never gotten sapphire is because I'm up north here, and I always considered it more of a southern prep. But I don't know for certain whether or not that's true or not. That's just me being kind of ignorant to what it actually does. The channel's sponsored by TrackTack and all that. Just doesn't. I don't have every single one of them. I haven't had a need to. That's probably one of the detriments to TrackTack is they have so many props that I think people get overwhelmed. To whereas I'm kind of like a perfect example of you don't need them all. I don't have them all because in the part of the country I'm at, it's unnecessary to have a lot of them or every single one of them. I was going to try a helmet prep for tomorrow only because I live in Alaska and there's no way I could get something up here by tomorrow. We race on solely. Oh, wow. Yeah. There is zero nada wrong with homemade preps. They have, they've gotten through a lot of things. Something as simple as WD-40. That's what we started off. Burst 33s. And the first prep I ever used was WD-40. You'd come off the track, you would wash your tires, get them as clean as possible, soap water or whatever, or just standard water, get them clean. You'd spray them down with WD-40 and then wipe the WD-40 off, and that the penetrate and the oils would make the tire grippy again. That was, there's all sorts of people that have combinations of, diesel fuel or automatic transmission fluid or, solvents type, some VMNP, whatever that's called. I got some over there. I should really learn what that is. It's, like a replacement you can, for Acrosol that you can get at like Lowe's and stuff. VMNP, hold on a second. That's driving me nuts. Yeah, VM&P naphtha. That was right. If you're in a pinch and need to cut something, I've used this. Like for drying thinner and oil-based paint, enamel and varnish helps diminish runs and spraying. Yeah, I've used that to cut stuff when I didn't have any Acrosol, or I have a TrackTack Quick Dry now, but works really well. I think so. If people are, don't want to order from pay shipping and all that stuff because prep can get expensive in a hurry. You can go to your Home Depot, your Lowe's, your whatever, and get the naphtha stuff, and works pretty good. But on the homemade preps, there's absolutely some top tier guys who have just been around tires enough. They know what works. They know what track they're on and what works on that track. And, I think there's amazing preps out there. TrackTack's the one I use, but there's other amazing companies. And there's also some homebrews that people make that have worked. and there's no denying the results, man. They're good with them. People get good with stuff. They just learn what works for them and go with it. I it'd be silly of me to recommend anything. Tell, oh, you're wrong. You got to run this prep. It's like, I don't know anything about the track you're running. I'm only taking my best guess at what will work. So if what's working for you, use it. Do it. Cool. Do older chassis work better for smaller tracks? This is what I hear. It's possible. Older chassis, in general, depending on what year you're talking about, how old they have a tendency. They've been around. They have a flex to them, and sometimes they do work really well for getting around places. I believe, wholeheartedly. I believe that, I won't say flexed out, because I have a hard time believing that chromoly or even soft steel has a point in which racing karts, it completely gets flexed out. I suppose you bend them, this and that. Like that Recon is a 16, and she's better as an open than she is as a clone. I can assure you that. I tried them both, but I believe that even if you're on an older chassis, if you keep fresh bearings and components on them, axles and bearings, spindles, if they still make them, but more so the bearings that go in the spindles, I think that's choice. Ain't nothing wrong with an older chassis, man. Lots of older stuff that's still fast. What they lose out on is ingenuity and newer designs. Like they sometimes they work great, but say take a Ultramax Evolve. I think that is a spectacle of design. I really like it. I love the thinking outside of the box. Now you get an older chassis, it's got a big front end, so from the waist of the cart, the front, depending on how old you're talking about, the front of the cart is a lot bigger. It's wider. It's a cart is a lever, and it changes, and the softness of that lever and how it transfers weight are all different things to consider. But yeah, I would say that you may be correct, or whoever's telling you may be correct. The bigger, the faster the track, this isn't, people can argue, it's fine. I'm not wholehearted on this, but there's an argument to be made that newer chassis are specifically designed for harder, faster, bit-up tracks. That they are purposely built to handle that situation. To whereas an older chassis may have its disadvantages. There's a reason why they got away from whatever design that was to whatever design they currently do. If they found speed, there's a reason why they changed the design. I don't think they changed the design just to change design. I think Charger is a great example for that. The Rogues and all that, that's just a design that works. They've run it for a lot of years because it just plainly works. And why mess with it if it works? Since they went from the Tyrant onto the current round of them, the Prodigies and the Rogue and the Hybrid and stuff like that. Different variations, different tubing, tubing to handle different situations. To whereas, depending on how old you're talking about a chassis is, that technology it's not embedded in that chassis. But yeah, I think the older chassis absolutely can run without, especially on a bull ring. I think that's absolutely a thing. I just be wary of, not wary, but keep up on your maintenance. If you're running an older chassis, if you buy an older chassis, keep up on your maintenance. Run get new bearings, get everything tightened up so it behaves as best as possible. That's my opinion on that. That's not fact. Nothing I say is fact, other than racing's awesome. That's a fact. But yeah, we're getting towards an hour here. So the intent, unless something goes sideways, is to do the vlog, which I'm just not good at vlogging. it's not that I'm not afraid to talk in front of people. It's fine. It's that I don't remember. it's and you know it's hard when you watch people like Nick Bishop and Tatum. Uh, they got really good personalities for what they're doing, and it's not that I don't have personality. Obviously, you know I'm quite quirky myself. It's that I find myself I don't know what to say in the moment. Like this is okay. Doing videos is okay, but that for some reason is still a little different. But hopefully, I still have to download the. Oh yeah, I got to find out how the Insta footage came out after the Insta went for a tumble. I don't know how bad that's going to turn out. How scuffed up the cameras are. I tried to fix them best I can. We'll see how that turns out. But it's a 50 lap race. I'm not going to put all that out there. I'm probably going to kind of go through the footage and get to the exciting parts, maybe fast forward or maybe just cut it, you know. And plus we did in that race, it was a 50 lap race in Clone 375, and we did 127 laps because people were out arguing with the flagman. That's a whole thing. I should write that down. I should do a video on that. That I have harsh opinions on that. That I will soften for a good video, but I should write that down about flagmen respecting calls, stuff like that. I definitely should do a video on that. As disheartened as you are, I use that word a lot. Disheartened. As upset as you are at a call against you, don't act a fool. 127 laps for a 50 lap race. We paced around there. Used 3/4 of a fuel tank on the Clone. Crazy stuff. Crazy. Have you raced a winged outlaw kart? I have not. They look awesome. I've seen them up close. I met the time I met Harold Wiggins was down in Pennsylvania, York, Pennsylvania. It was Northeast Kart Expo, I think it was called. I met Harold Wiggins there, and they had one of the very first outlaw kart designs that around there, and super cool. I have not. Would I? Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. Handling wise, is they run treaded tires, and the engines are either 450. I think they're all 450s. Most of them are. I'm sure that's not the case. You have the younger classes. I shouldn't have said that. My 250 two-stroke, they don't run in that class. I think they're all 4-strokes. I believe most of them to be 450 4-strokes, except for the kids' classes. They run, obviously, other stuff. But, like, there was the Winged Outlaws in Pennsylvania for a long time. They ran a lot of 500 two-strokes and 450s and stuff like that. I always wanted to put, my Bama on one of them and see how it did. But crawling into those things, I'd race anything. Give me a chance and I'd try it out. But yeah, I think it may be a little safer, but the handling is definitely going to be a lot different. So UAS, they behave like a kart, just the acceleration, the entry speed is all the yaw that you carry in. So the yaw, when you just crack the wheel or whatever your setup is, it completely takes it can take a pitch coming into the corner, and you're looking at the corner a lot different. I wish I could get my Clone to handle like my Open. That was a lot of fun running the Open, not so much in the Clone. Like my Clone turns. It just doesn't, for that track, you need it to yaw a little bit, and I can't get it to yaw. It's like, I know sliding it isn't always the fastest thing, but you need to have that at that particular track. You need to have it behave a certain way, and I'm having the darndest time. Maybe it's the way I'm driving it. It's very possible it's the way I'm driving it. I hate to admit that I'm the problem, but might be the problem. But yeah, I've never run one. I would love to, but I have never done that. But we are over an hour here, so I will bounce off of here. Hopefully everything goes well. Sunday will be the Bill Layfield Memorial. I think I said that wrong in the video. Bill Layfield Memorial. John's dad, Bill. I think I said it wrong. I'll have to correct that. Memorial is 20-year memorial race that we run there, and I ran 375 and I ran open UAS, and it was a lot of fun, but I broke a lot of stuff. Bent my spindle in my clone, blew up my engine in the UAS, so it was very, very expensive, very trying event, but it was a lot of fun. I had a blast. I do every time I go down to John's. I mean, I don't ever want to, it's not, the track is a track, and I think John does his best to put on a great race. Now, what I do with that is really up to me. How racers behave is really up to them. Is what it is. Anyway, I'm gonna bounce off here. Thank you very much, everybody, for stopping by. Good to be back in the live stream realm. I kind of missed it last week, but go tune in to Ultimate Kart Media. If you are on Facebook, those guys, I believe, are live. They go live about the same time I do. I think 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock on Thursdays. And if you're not bored, if you want to go check out some other awesome stuff, which I'll be bouncing over to, Beard Octane, the sponsor of this here channel, and myself are live now. They're doing a Texas tea scented oil to benefit some of the victims in Texas, I believe. Don't get me, don't kill me, Joe, if you see this. I don't know much about it. I'm hopefully going to learn some more about it when I go over to live stream there. But thank you very much, guys, for stopping by. I will we'll see you Sunday, and then I'll see you next week right back here. So, all right, later.